Breaking news: the Arsenal Football Club have agreed a deal with West Ham for a fee in the region of £100 million. This after the big reports yesterday that have been confirmed by multiple mainstream media outlets today that Rice really favours Arsenal over treble winners Man City as the main factor being wanting to achieve greatness with Arsenal. We're going to delve into this story. Plus, of course, Gvardiol has agreed to join Manchester City in a deal that could also reach as high as £100 million for the brilliant centre back from RB Leipzig. Hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribing to the Terrace right now and download One Football, where all of these stories, all of the sources, all of the information for these videos can be found. Scan that QR code on the screen or hit the like button. But the transfer window's on fire, people. Let's go! The big trending story on One Football this afternoon. Remember, go and download the app now. Go and check it out. It says Arsenal verbally agree £150 million double deal amid late hijack threat from Premier League rivals. And of course, the big money move in this deal is none other than Declan Rice. First of all, one of the best central midfielders in the Prem, one of the best in Europe, and the man is going to be the captain of Arsenal. If he joins Arsenal, he becomes their captain inside the next 2 years. This man is a colossus. This man is astoundingly good. Energy, ability for days. And as I say, that availability and captainship, leadership he brings as well is going to transform Arsenal. He'll be an amazing signing for City as well if they pull this off. But we're focusing on this from an Arsenal point of view because that is a trending news. Just like on Thursday night, the trending news was he's heading towards City. That is what we'll do. Now, this story here claims that Arsenal turned their attention to Rice after they had bids rejected for Brighton's Moises Caicedo during the January transfer window. The London outfit have already had a couple of bids for Rice rejected this summer, and Man City have now joined the race to sign him. Now, we already knew that. But this is what's key when it comes to reading articles. And I'm not trying to sound condescending, but keep reading, even if you go past the first line or two or three where you know the information, because the new stuff presents itself. It says West Ham have understood to be demanding around 100 million for their prize asset, and it was claimed earlier this week that Rice favours a move to Arsenal. We're going to delve into that in a few moments. As for Timber, it has emerged as a key defensive target for Arsenal, and after he was pursued by Man United last summer, it's recently been reported that Ajax value him at around that £50 million mark. A number of outlets, including sources from Sky Germany, the Football Insider, One Football, and more, claim that Arsenal have verbally agreed personal terms with Rice and Timber and have now verbally agreed deals in principle with their respective clubs. It is just now down to the official bids being made. Now, what of the news of Rice effectively preferring Arsenal over Man City? We saw the ex-West Ham employee speaking about it yesterday. One Football go into a little bit more detail today. They say that Declan Rice is Arsenal's top summer target, and Arteta has been laying the groundwork since February. The England midfielder is expected to cost more than 100 million. That's why I think you're looking at 150 for that total verbal agreement. That includes add-ons and everything else. The Gunners have made 2 bids so far. And West Ham knocked them both back, which has granted Man City time to assess their options. And with Ilkay Gundogan on the brink of joining Barca, Pep Guardiola has reportedly decided to try to sign Rice. David Ornstein reported that a bid from the Premier League, European and FA Cup champions is expected to be lodged later this weekend. Yet no opening offer has been made as of now. City's interest caused a bit of a meltdown amongst Arsenal supporters on social media, as was expected. Saturday saw a much more positive day, with sources close to West Ham claiming that Declan Rice still prefers the move to Arsenal. But why, many people would ask. And that's what I mean. You might have read all of that in the article and gone, I know all of this. And stop reading. Start digging deeper. what, and I'm paraphrasing now, but what the article goes on to allude to is that Declan Rice is attracted by the idea of turning Arsenal back into Premier League champions. He is attracted by the idea that they could become European champions. Now, rivals will laugh and say, Terry, you know that's not going to happen. That's a crazy claim. But not everybody's motivated by the same things. There's a much bigger risk to Declan Rice signing for Arsenal than there is City in terms of winning trophies. But that bigger risk can equal a greater reward. There is definitely more prestige, more fame, potentially more legacy in football being that final piece of the jigsaw to make Arsenal the best team in England again, to win them their first ever European Cup. And when I say European Cup, I'm alluding to Champions League. That is a motivator. And what I'm going to say is this, my personal opinion is I still think City can pull this deal off. I still think City can turn his head. That is still a possibility, even though right now he prefers Arsenal. But it's about Arsenal getting it done. And if these reports this afternoon are true, that the verbal agreement is there, maybe they're just ironing out structure, Arsenal get it done. Don't take any more risks than you have to surrounding this deal. Get him out of the firing line of a potential hijack to Man City and get it over the line. But viewers, I want your thoughts and I want your feelings on this. The two articles, you can see the headlines there on One Football. Go and check them out. Now, staying with Man City, this article here reads, 98 million star now on the verge of agreeing a deal at Manchester City. And we've seen Jose Mourinho. We've seen, I've lost my train of thought now, Fabrizio Romano put out the information. I'll read it here, that he understands that Man City have now agreed personal terms with Gvardiol. Pep Guardiola rates Gvardiol highly. Talks will take place between the two clubs, but are advancing. RB Leipzig won't sell for less than 100 million, is what he has claimed. So Leipzig also want to make him the most expensive centre-back ever. This is big, big business for City. This would be their second player in the region of 100 million pounds. Your third, if you include Erling Haaland. I know that lots of people just look at the transfer fees, but the agent and the fees to his father took that deal well over 100 million. But it's too officially Jack Grealish, and it could be Gvardiol here. You could add a third to that if they were to land Declan Rice as well. And for many years, City kind of celebrated this. We don't really spend above 50, 60 million pounds on our marquee players. Everybody else is now moved into the 80s and 90s. Well, that's because you were the first team to really start doing the 50s and 60s as on a regular occurrence, and you moved the needle. And City are now setting the standards again in the transfer market. They could be at 2 to 3 100 million pound players purchased in their squad by the end of this window. And that just shows the determination and the desire from that club to keep winning. There's probably some City fans in the build up to me saying that, thinking, why is Terry being salty? I'm not. I'm simply stating that because you're so well run, because you only care about winning, because it isn't about sustainability or profit margins or growing the brand and selling it in the future. It's purely about winning. This is what City are capable of. They're going to go and they've already added Kovacic. They're going to go and add Gvardiol, one of the best young up-and-coming centre-backs in world football, to their squad. They're fighting for Declan Rice, and if they don't get him, they will go for somebody else of equal measure and quality. And they've just won a treble. Yes, Gundogan's gone. Yes, Kyle Walker could leave this summer. Yes, Mahrez could be on his way out. But we've seen brilliant players, whether it be they've aged out, whether it be they've wanted to leave. So whether it be Sane, whether it be Aguero, Company, Sterling, Jesus, Zinchenko, they've just got better. And I know some City fans look at their Centurion season as maybe being better because of points. I personally don't. Winning the treble is the pinnacle. And the only achievement better would be doing the quad. This is the best City team ever and one of the greatest teams in English football history. But they're adding so much quality. They're making it so difficult for rivals not only to surpass them, but to even catch them. And this is a standard and a marker. Now, I'm not going to do a league gunner and say that I expect every team to be able to behave like Man City are acting in 2023, because you need to build a squad and a team to a winning level before you can add to it the way City do on such a regular basis, because it's very much a uh, a situation of being the best team, having the best coach, being successful, being a very attractive place for people to play. Until you become that very attractive place again, your name alone and your history can't attract everybody that you want. And if right now Man City had all this money and had Pep, but were regularly coming third and fourth and fifth, not winning the trophies, they wouldn't find it as easy as they do to turn heads. Which is why, by the way, if Arsenal are able to stop Rice from going to City and landing him, it is such a big move. It is such a statement for Arsenal to say, yo, we stopped Declan Rice going to the best team in the world right now, the treble winners, the pace setters, the best run club in the Premier League, because he wants to achieve something with us. However, on the flip side, there are so many players that it's going to be impossible to get in City's way of. One, they've got the money. Two, they've got the manager. Three, they've got the success. And four, they are bred to win now. And there's a standard being set there. And that's a standard you've got to demand your club gets back to. Some of you are not going to do it in 1 season or 2 seasons. It's going to take years to get there. So expect there to be progressive steps. But that has to be the end goal. And I know some people will accuse them again of the charges. But look, until those charges are proven, there's no point dwelling on them. You can't hope they're going to be found guilty. And that's the only way you're going to beat them. You have to strive to beat them at their best now. And then if they are found guilty, you're in an even better situation. Don't sit back on your laurels and just go, do you know what? It's going to be all right. It's going to be okay. It'll be fine. I had a friend when I was younger whose parents owned a few businesses and properties and were very, very, very wealthy. And he had this notion that he didn't really need to carve out a career for himself because it was morbid, but it's his belief. Oh, well, my parents are quite old. Eventually, they're going to retire. They'll leave their business to me. And then one day when they pass, all their properties and assets will come to me and I'll be wealthy. So what's the point of me breaking my back working, building a career when I've got all these millions of pounds coming to me in the future? That was his logic. His parents sold the business to somebody else before they retired. And they told him well ahead of time that in their will, the vast majority of their money, assets, and properties would be going to charities and people that needed them. He had to go get a job. And that example's always stood with me. And that's what I think now when it comes to City. Stop hoping and waiting for them to be knocked off their perch by breaking rules and knock them off yourselves. You can't put all your eggs into one basket. In boxing, they always say, don't leave the decision of the fight down to the judges because you may lose. You have to go and win by knocking them out. And that's very much what teams have to do to City. But listen, brilliant pieces of business. I want all your thoughts and feelings below. Hit the like and the share button. Make sure you're subscribing, and we'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.